On Who Knows Ball, we created a quiz show, which is hopefully the first of many, so please check it out. And while we were creating the questions for the show, there was one that stood out.
Who is the top Nigerian goal scorer in the Premier League with 95 goals?
Yakubu.
Yakubu, correct.
Nigeria has had many great players play in the Premier League, but we've never had one so deadly in front of goal. As crazy as it sounds today, in this era where a striker is measured by how much ground they cover, how many presses they complete, and all those numbers that make sense and don't make sense at the same time, there was a time when a striker just had one mission: score. It didn't matter how, when, or from where. It didn't matter whether they were small or big, short or tall. The mission was simple: score. In the 2000s, almost every team in the EPL had one striker you were afraid of. Leeds had Mark Viduka, Tottenham had Jermaine Defoe and Robbie Keane, Charlton had Darren Bent, even Crystal Palace had Andy Johnson, who somehow scored 21 goals in the Premier League for a promoted team. And these were the strikers for the mid and the lower table teams of that era, not to talk of the Henrys and the Van Nistelrooys. In that same era, when the fans in Fratton Park, the Riverside Stadium, Goodison Park, or Ewood Park were in search of a goal, and Yakubu was in their team's colours, there was a song the fans loved to sing. Feed the yak, and he will score. So here's a disclaimer. I'm Nigerian, and even though Yakubu is one of the greatest strikers in the country's history, there is one memory from the 2010 World Cup that we are all still trying to forget. My goal today is to avoid talking about that memory or even making any reference to it. Yakubu was the complete striker in the 2000s. He was strong and he could hold the ball up at an elite level. He had a clinical eye for goals, whether it was from a header or from one of his powerful shots that he could unleash with both feet. He always knew where to be at the right time, and he always found just enough space to shoot, whether outside the box or inside the box. His matchday kit was incomplete without a chewing gum. There's no football player in this life that I've ever seen chew gum like this guy. For a full 90 minutes. I digress. The Nigerian footballer's dream usually has 4 steps. The first is to play in an academy, then to move to a team in the Nigerian league, fashion a move to one of Europe's lower leagues, and then finally deliver performances that land you in the big time. After learning the trade in the Gateway Academy, Yakubu moved to Julius Berger in the Nigerian league before making a move to Maccabi Haifa in Israel, who paid about $300,000 for the transfer. He started making a name for himself in the 2001-2002 season by leading Maccabi Haifa in scoring with 13 goals in 23 league games, helping them win the Israeli league. That put Maccabi Haifa into the qualification rounds for the Champions League. Over 2 legs in the third round of the qualifying rounds, he scored 2 goals in a 5-3 aggregate win over Sturm Graz, helping Maccabi Haifa make history as the first ever Israeli team to qualify for the Champions League group stage. In the season before, Yakubu put Israel on notice. In this season, Yakubu put the world on notice. He played 5 Champions League games, and he scored 5 Champions League goals, including 1 goal against Manchester United and a hat-trick against Olympiacos. Add another 8 goals in 13 league games to that, and it was enough for Harry Redknapp to invite Yakubu for a trial at Portsmouth the following January. During the trial, he scored 4 goals in a match, making the decision to sign him on loan much easier. Portsmouth was on a promotion charge in the Championship when they signed Yakubu that January. And with 7 goals in 14 games, his signing helped seal the league for them. Portsmouth won promotion to the Premier League, and now Yakubu was in the big time. So let's recap. It's the 2003-2004 season. Yakubu has a few years' experience in the Israeli League, half a season's experience in the Champions League, and half a season's experience in the Championship. Redknapp asked the Yak how many goals he thought he would score that season. Yakubu said 20. How? For context, around that time, to score 20 goals in all competitions was not a small feat. For the main strikers back then, the Michael Owens, the Van Nistelrooys, the Henrys and the Shearers, a season with 30 plus goals in all competitions was a great season. So the thought of a striker playing in an elite league for the first time with a newly promoted team, scoring 20 goals in all competitions was absurd. Or at least we thought. Redknapp told Yakubu that if he scored 20 goals in all competitions, he would give Yakubu £20,000. Also, unlike most strikers that wore the 9 or the 10, Yakubu's jersey numbers were his goal targets for the season. For this one, it was 20. Before the last game of that season, Yakubu had 15 goals in all competitions, 5 short of his target. By this time, Redknapp had forgotten about the agreement, but a Nigerian can never forget free money. In that game against Middlesbrough, Yakubu became the 11th player in Premier League history to score 4 goals in one game. But even with that achievement, he ended the season 1 goal short of his target. In his first Premier League season, Yakubu was the 6th top scorer in the league with 16 goals, alongside the likes of Michael Owen, Nicolas Anelka, and Juan Pablo Angel. If you know, you know. The next season, Portsmouth was suffering the infamous second season syndrome, struggling to fight against relegation. Yakubu still produced 12 goals in the league that season, including the goal that saved Portsmouth from relegation, and he again finished the season as one of the top 10 goal scorers in the league. At the end of the 2004-2005 season, Yakubu needed a new challenge, and Portsmouth needed the money. So when Middlesbrough offered £7.5 million for his services, the highest fee ever for a Nigerian at the time, and the highest fee ever offered to Portsmouth, the transfer was completed. At Borough, he played alongside true Barclays men, the former Premier League Golden Boot winner Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, and the Australian big man and legend Mark Viduka. Still, Yakubu, retaining his jersey number 20, led the team in scoring with 13 goals in the league, again finishing the season as one of the top 10 goal scorers in the league. That season, he also produced a man-of-the-match performance in the 3-0 win against Mourinho's Chelsea, inflicting the worst defeat under the great manager at that time. He ended the season with 19 goals in all competitions, 1 goal shy of his target. In his second season at Borough, he scored 12 goals, again finishing the season as one of the league's top 10 goal scorers. The numbers alone may not seem impressive, especially in today's context, but keep in mind that at the time, most teams played 2 up front, so the goals were shared. At the end of that season, Everton came in with a club record £11.25 million offer to bring Yakubu over to Merseyside. For his first season at Everton, we have to add some context. In the season before Yakubu joined, the top scorer for Everton, Andy Johnson, scored 12 goals in all competitions. In fact, at Everton, no striker had scored 20 plus goals in a season for 15 years. When Yakubu joined and was asked what jersey number he wanted, he said 22, his new goal target for that season. 41 games later, he of course became the first Everton player in 16 years to score 20 plus goals in a season. In the Premier League, he scored 15, firing Everton to 6th place in the table. In all competitions, he scored 21, again, just 1 goal shy of his goals target. In his second season at Everton, he ruptured his Achilles very early on, and that was when his career began to slow down. In the next 2+ years, he scored only 10 Premier League goals and was even loaned to Leicester City in the Championship midway through the 2010-2011 season. Seemingly, his career in the Premier League was over. Or so we thought. Blackburn had finished the 2010-2011 season in 15th, only 4 points from the drop zone, after finishing 10th the season before. The team was in decline and needed someone to give them a chance of staying up the next season. So they signed Yakubu for just £1.5 million from Everton, a relative bargain. He had many doubters that season, but Yakubu proved each and every one of them wrong. He finished the season with a personal best of 17 Premier League goals. Not just that, during the season, he scored 4 goals in 1 game, again, becoming the 5th player in Premier League history to score 4 goals each in 2 games, when he did it against Swansea that season. Unfortunately, it was not enough to save Blackburn from relegation, and that was his final ever season in the Premier League. But what a way to go out. With a total of 95 goals, he cemented his status as one of the greatest African strikers the Premier League has ever seen.